Hey guys, welcome back to the Interceptor. We are here with war number 12 of season 48, and we really do go out with a bang here. This is a really cool war that I'm really glad I was able to do. The paths that I saw pretty much immediately upon the start of this alliance war were really nice for the team that I had in mind. And I am going to have a Gambit Hood team today, and I'm going to be taking the final Bullseye Boss with Gambit, which is awesome. So here I'm just putting on some light mutant power back boosts. Those are for my Apocalypse fights. And this fight here, this is Kate Bishop. The node here is just that you want to alternate your combos so that you don't give her... Is it prowess? I want to say it's prowess. But the goal here is to get to 3 prowesses from the attacker tactic, because each one shuts down purify ability accuracy by 34%. So the literal reason they made it 34% was so 3 of them would completely reduce purify, which makes sense. And I just had to hit into the block twice and parry to get the 3rd one. And we are taking a little bit of damage back here when we crit from the physical resistances, but this is going to be a really easy fight. I mean, I lost 3% total over the whole fight from that damage back, and some of that was also block damage, because Gambits, mediums, and heavies, I think they're called psychic attacks, which means that they don't take damage back, like the same way that Omega Red doesn't. And there's also one other champ, I think it's Jubilee, doesn't. But I did have my Suicide Masteries on there, and I am actually going to swap back and forth. So I started with them for the first Gambit fight, and now I have a bunch of Apocalypse and Hood fights where I don't want those masteries on, and then at the very end I'm going to go back to them. So I just made one of my presets. That this fight here, this was a really convenient fight for getting my Apocalypse ramped up. My Apocalypse, he is only a rank 4 6-star, but he only has 2 fights in this war, and neither of them are incredibly complicated. Basically, the strat for this kitty is to just hold block, bait heavies, make sure to always be pushing her to SP2, and then bait the SP2. I don't know how fast I'll kill, but I have mutant power back boosts on right now for the sole purpose of being used for this fight. And this fight right here, this kitty Pryde, actually used to be a really brutal fight in the root meta, because she was a tactic defender, and I would see people dying here all the time, even with decent counters to the fight. Like, I've seen people die to this fight with Shocker. But that root was literally the only thing that made it a hard fight. And Kitty's not going to be very nice here. She's not going to throw this L2 at all, no matter how much I try to bait it. So I'm just going to go for a striker here. I know it pauses the miss, but I was just trying to get close enough to her to block to bait a heavy, and now I know this SP2 will kill. Even if I didn't get any crits there, that would have easily killed, so that was safe. And we are fully ramped up with Apocalypse. Now, I do have one more fight he has to take, which is right now. It's immediately after, but it's not a complicated fight. It's just this Rintrah, and it is going to be a little bit of a long fight. I believe this fight's a little bit over 2 minutes, but to be fair, I'm literally punching up 2 ranks, and I'm fighting one of the beefiest defenders in the game. So it's, you know what, that's acceptable. So we're facing this Rintrah. The nodes don't do anything. Literally, the sole reason Rintrah is here is because the fight after this requires a Mystic counter, or sorry, a Mystic to counter the defender, and most Mystics are not great options for Rintrah. That's the reason. And in this fight, what I'm going to be doing is pretty much parry heavy only. I'm going to throw my SP1 once, my SP2 once to get all my debuffs up, and then I am going to just spam SP1, because your SP1 actually does just as much damage as your SP2. For example, if you were to throw 2 SP1s while you have all of your debuffs up, it would do more damage than 1 SP2, specifically regarding the burst damage. So once you are fully ramped, it does make sense to always use SP1. And that's what we're going to be doing here. So I'm just throwing all these heavies to make sure that I keep his charges down. I never want him going unstoppable, and I'm going to do a good job of that. He is never going to go unstoppable in this fight. He is going to not throw this special for quite a while, and I think I'm going to give up here. And yeah, throw that heavy, push him to that L2, and he does throw the L2, so that's fine. And this first one, I am going to Dex. I didn't have any ruptures on me, so even if it hit me and it crit, it wouldn't have killed, because despite being a rank 4, Apocalypse still has a massive health pool. Gonna go for... Oh, I thought I was gonna go for heavy. Yeah, there we go for a heavy into the SP2. He's not gonna get enough charges, especially not with the concussion up. And now we have all our debuffs. Literally all we need to do is throw heavy attacks and throw SP1s, and this fight is pretty much done. The ramp up, slightly painful, but he's no longer getting any, he's no longer getting willpower healing, or maybe he's getting like the tiniest little ticks of it. So very, very easy fight. A little bit long, but I don't really, like, that doesn't really bother me. This fight didn't really feel long, because when you know exactly what you're doing and the fight just kind of goes exactly how you envisioned, it doesn't really bother you. Like, it didn't bother me at all. Gonna go for one more SP1 here. It is gonna take him down, and yeah, about 2 minutes 20 seconds. Not that bad, not that long, especially when he was really the only champ I had that could take that. Gambit no, just don't do that. And Hood theoretically could have taken the fight. Problem, as you'll notice in this war, I don't have Mole Man, because I decided to bring Apocalypse instead to have the Horseman synergy for perfect block on the boss. I only have 3 Hood fights this war. Here I was checking because the guy on path 4 is clearing alongside me. I'm taking node 46. He's taking 48, and then I'm taking 50. So we're going back and forth. So I was just checking that he was already into section 2, because I didn't know what path he was on. I just saw someone moving, and I'm like, okay, let's just make sure that's him. We have this Venom here. I am going to throw on Mystic power back boosts, and the reason is because I have 3 Hood fights in a row. They're my only 3 Hood fights, so I figured start with Mutant boosts, go to Mystic, back to Mutant. That's the plan here. That's the strat. This is a pretty straightforward fight. This is the rich get richer node, but Venom is kind of a bum. He doesn't really do much, and he's really easy. Here, throw a second SP2. Gonna throw a heavy here, and it does some decent damage. You'll notice that, especially in this fight, more so than the others, I am going to spend quite a while nursing my bullets, because I really want to be able to finish all 3 fights. And I normally would not do 3 Hood fights in one war if I didn't have Mole Man, but all 3 of the defenders were very buff heavy defenders, so it was okay. And actually, initially, my plan was for me to use Hood for Kate Bishop. Now, that would have been a little bit too much, and I definitely would have been struggling towards the end of the war, and I probably would have run out of bullets. But I'm glad that I kind of just realized, oh, Gambit can do this fight. So this is the next one. This is Sersi on node 41. This is a pretty straightforward fight. You are going to be nullifying or staggering quite a bit in this fight, so you don't really have to worry about your bullets. You're just going to shoot up whenever she tries to activate whatever it is that I don't even know what it is. Whatever it is that she activates. Where she gets all her buffs. Whatever it's called, I don't know. But whenever she activates it and you stagger it, you get a bunch of bullets back. So we are going to go up to the boss island here, and using the small energy refill. We're going to go to this Skrull. This is the last of my hood fights. I get Skrull here because of his L2, but all the best Mystic attackers just completely turn him off. And you'll notice that despite my lack of bullets in this fight, he's just so easy. He's just so easy. Like, he's getting all of his buffs. He's countering miss now. I don't even care. Literally, all I have to do, get to an L2, boom, my bullets shoot up by 15, and he's just controlled for the rest of the fight. He's not going to do anything. He's pretty much as good as dead at this point. He does throw an L2 into my miss, but because my miss had I just refreshed it, I had a 100% chance to miss the first 3 hits. The first 2 hits, rather. There I go for a heavy. We just kill. I could have gone for another SP2. I had enough bullets to do so, but I figured the heavy would kill from there, and I was right. I did have to wait a while because he didn't only have the dust to take. He also had a maestro to kill. So I also sent a message saying, "Can you please move after dust goes down so that I can get to the boss?" I'm just skipping through here. He did get the fight down. He did move up for me. And there we go. We are able to go in. I did remember to put on the Horseman pre-fight, and I backed out to make sure that it went on, because sometimes even when the logo's on there, your pre-fight can still fail. Behind the scenes, while part of that video that I skipped, I did switch my masteries back, and the mastery setup I'm running, I took off all Mystic Dispersion, and I invested a lot into the attack tree. I'm running the bleed and recoil, but I'm actually running 3 out of 3 recoil for this fight, and I did throw on an SP1 boost. That was a mistake. If I was able to redo this fight, that's definitely one thing I would change. And the problem is that when you have the SP1 boost, what's the best way to say this? Pushing him to 2 SP1s and then baiting them both. Here I tried to parry the last hit and I mistimed it and I got hit, but that's fine. It just kind of creates more trouble than it's worth. So here, when I finally get to heavy counter his heavy and activate my prowesses so I can throw a special, I got to the L3 by accident. Now, the L3 did a lot of damage, and I got back almost 2 full bars, so it wasn't really an issue. But if it hadn't done as much damage, I would have been in a really bad place there, where I don't have my perfect block, I don't have anything. And here, unfortunately, I am going to throw my SP2 while my prowesses are just fading, and my last hit did not benefit from the prowess increase. But all it took was like 5 seconds of holding my block, and now we're straight back. Push him to the L1. Just going to block it all because we have a 100% chance to perfect block. Here I just have to heavy counter, but this time I do have my striker, so I don't have to heavy counter. I can just do that. Block, dash, SP2, back to an SP2, block, dash, SP2, and he's dead. Now, I have seen this fight executed better. One of my friends has a rank 3 Gambit, and he did send me a video of him doing the fight in something like 45 seconds because he just went SP2, SP2, and the second SP2 killed. Granted, it's a rank 3 Gambit, so for me, it would probably take 3 SP2s, but that's the kind of fight I was going for, because as long as I get a crit on my SP2 on one of the 2 hits, I get back to an SP2. That's how the math works out for this fight. With 3 out of 3 recoil. It is required for this to work. But, yeah, the fight went really well. And for my first time taking a boss that really terrified me because I don't know his abilities that well, I'm very happy with it to not die to him. And I'm sure that next season, when some of the top options for Bullseye bosses are getting banned. For example, Bishop is probably going to get blacklisted and maybe people will start shifting their bans to champions like Professor X, who is a much more traditional and popular counter to Bullseye bosses compared to Gambit. And then maybe I'll get to take the fight more. Now, in those scenarios, is it likely that I'll be able to bring Apocalypse and have the Horseman synergy for perfect block? Probably not, no. Unless there's a nice mutant for me to take like there was today. But I don't think that'll really be an issue, because do you really think that I take an extra 60% of damage in this fight from block? Absolutely not. Like, not even close. If I didn't have the pre-fight in this fight, it wouldn't have gone any different. I'd say maximum I lose 20% of my health from block, and I finish this fight at 40%. Except that I made multiple mistakes in this fight, so it would have been way smoother than that. But you know what? I'll get better at this fight. I'm sure I'll have several chances next season to redo it. But for now, for the first time taking it, I'm happy with my performance. And I don't know the results of this war yet. I don't know who won. It's too early to tell. I cleared early, and it's still too early. I don't know. I'm going to say it's likely going to be them, just because they need the win more than us. So they're going to be the ones that push at the end. We don't need the win for any reason. It can't affect our ranking. But, so our record is either going to be 5-7 or 4-8. I don't know. It doesn't matter, because it doesn't affect our rewards for the season. But that's the two possibilities. And my death total is at 5. So I did want to say something about this. I had a really unfortunate start to the season, and that just kind of continued into the halfway mark of the season. So I died twice in war number 2, and then I died again a couple wars later. No, wait, sorry. I died once in war 1 and twice in war 2, and then I went 4 wars in a row without dying. 3, 4, 5, 6. And then in war 7, I died again twice. So I was 7 wars through, and I died 5 times. And my goal after 6 wars was to die 6 or less times. And I just apparently remembered how to play the game and stopped being an idiot, because several of my deaths were very stupid, pointless deaths that did not need to happen to easy fights. Especially that Wong fight that I still can't believe I died to. But I'm really happy with the end of this season, and I really feel like I have a better grasp on the global than I did even 6 wars ago. I really feel like I've gotten more used to it and settled into it, and I'm sure that we'll see some hood bans next season. Probably not going to see many Gambit bans, so I'm sure I'll get to use him some more, which I'm very excited for. But we are going to finish off this season with my personal solo record of 77 fights out of 82, or 94%. And I'm pretty happy with a 94% solo rate, especially because I believe this was a really bad season of mine, and I know that I'm capable of a lot better. And next season, I'm going to show it. I'm going to do my best to perform at the level I know I'm capable of. But we are actually getting a little bit of a streak going here, as I have soloed my last 38 fights, which is just my last 5 wars and a half, I guess, because I think in the war I died twice, they were both on path fights, so I had like 3 or 4 minis after. You get it. But that's all, and that's actually going to be the last war video for the season, so I hope you all enjoyed. I really enjoyed making videos this season, especially after I took last season off because of how stupid and brutal the meta was. It just wasn't fun. Like, I didn't have an awful season. I just didn't find war fun, so I didn't make videos. It's simple as that. But that is going to be all. Like I said, have a great day, everyone, and I will see you all later. Bye.